A few weeks ago, Anthropic just published one of the most important AI essay I have ever read this year. Not because they have launched a new model and not because they have break another benchmark, but they have asked a question that can define the next decade of technology. What is recursive self-improvement? So let's simplify the idea. Today, human builds AI system, right? Those AI system helping write code, run experiment, analyze results, and improve future AI system. Now imagine that process continues. Humans build AI, AI builds better AI builds even better AI, and this cycle continues. And that's what is recursive self-improvement. It's not about machine becoming super intelligence overnight. And it's all about the gradual process of AI taking more and more work involved in creating future AI system, like training data, like building next generation of algorithm. Because if you talk about how frontiers LLMs are made, so there are two types of categories involved. One is technology and other is research. You need to have a proper algorithm in place, you need to have infrastructure in place, and then you have to tell what to do. That is the experiment part. So let's say writing code, setting up the infrastructure, and deciding what infrastructure to use, AI can easily solve, right? Can understand what technology to use. Think about the experiments. Now, here is the bottleneck. Human is the bottleneck. Humans is not able to decide what experiments to take on these AI models. And if this process continues, then this could start accelerating faster than we used to. If AI is writing code faster than 100 times faster than developers are not able to review the code, then who is the bottleneck? Humans are the bottleneck. Then what happens next? AI becomes the reviewer itself. That's how this bottleneck carry on. When AI becomes faster and faster, humans become irrelevant. These engineers are producing far more output than ever before, right? Because AI is doing growing share of the implementation work inside Claude. As I already discussed, 80% of the code was written by Claude in May 2026. When people hear about this, and the first question always comes, will software engineering disappear? I don't think that's the right question. A better question will be how the role will change. In the past, engineers spent most time writing codes. The tedious work that you used to do. In the future, they'll spend more time designing system, reviewing work, making architectural decision, and deciding and directing AI agents. The value moves upward. Less typing, more time deciding, right? And what about the product managers? The same thing happens over here. If AI can build almost anything, then the most important question becomes, what should we build? Which problem is worth solving, and which opportunity matters? What product and what features will build that becomes a real value for the customer, right? As execution becomes easier, decision becomes more valuable. And what about the founders? This is where things get really interesting. For most of the history, building a large company required a large organization, and large number of employees. But what happens when one founder can direct hundreds or thousands of AI agents? Look at what happened to Cursor, and a team of 60 people built around 60 billions of empire that was sold to SpaceX. That happened in only 4 years, and currently the team is 60, but initially it was 4 people started, right? Anthropic describes a future where organizations becomes dramatically more productive because every employee sits on a pyramid of AI agents, and this is an AI story, this is a business story. What about the students, right? The student always asks, what should I learn? My answer is simple. Don't focus only on building a task. Focus on understanding. Learn how industry works. Learn how business operates. Develop communication skills. Develop judgment. Develop leadership. Develop domain expertise. Because AI will be available to everyone, but deep understanding will remain valuable, right? So it's all about when something becomes abundant, something becomes scarce. All these things like judgment, leadership, expertise, how the business operates, all things becomes valuable, and then people will start hiring according to it. Anthropic outlines 3 possible future. The first one is that the progress slowed down, right? Maybe technical limitation appear. Progress slowdowns of building AI, better AI, and even better AI. Maybe hardwares become a bottleneck, right? Maybe they don't get that much computation to build another set of higher level of LLM and models. Maybe we hit challenges nobody expects. The second future is that humans continue directing AI while AI performs most of the execution. The third world is recursive self-improvement. a world where AI seems increasingly help create their own successor, means better AI, and that's the future that raises the biggest question. The hardest problem isn't AI. This is the most surprising part of the article. Anthropic argues that the biggest challenge may not be technological, it may be human. Think about it. Suppose one company decides to slow down AI development. What happens? Another company continues. Like, let's say Claude says that I'll stop AI development so faster, but OpenAI does it, DeepSeek does it, Gemini does it. Another country starts, right? Another country means, let's say China starts, another lab starts, and this race doesn't stop, and the leader simply changes. It goes from US to China to a different country, and that's why Anthropic spent so much time discussing coordination, not intelligence, not models, only the coordination around the globe. And what about, can humanity press pause on it? Anthropic raises a fascinating question. If AI development starts moving quickly, should humanity have the ability to temporarily slow down? Not forever, not permanently, just long enough for safety research, regulation, and society to catch up. But there is a problem. How do you verify that everyone actually is paused? How do you know that another company isn't secretly continuing? And how do you know another country isn't accelerating? Nuclear things. See, the nuclear facility can be inspected, that you are building a nuclear, like happened to Iran and US is doing, happens to India, time of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and they inspect it from satellite. Missile silos can be monitored, and what kind of missiles they are building. AI development is much harder to verify. You can build a bigger warehouse somewhere, call it something else, and keep on building the better models. And that's why Anthropic believes that global coordinates become one of the hardest challenges of the AI era. So what should we do? First, try not to compete with AI. Let's try to work how AI works. I use it every day for research, learning, writing, coding, problem solving. Second, develop judgment. In the world where answers become abundant, asking the right question becomes valuable. Hope you are getting this point. Third, become deeply knowledgeable about something, an industry, a market, a field, a domain, because AI can provide intelligence, but context still matter. And finally, think bigger. The biggest opportunity created by AI may not be efficiency, it may be leverage. One person will be able to accomplish far more than ever before. See, the people who learn how to direct intelligence have enormous advantage. Anthropic says that they can build scientists capable like Nobel Prize 10,000 times better, and a team of 10,000 Nobel scientists inside their warehouse. So think about the intelligence that they will create in the future. So there is enormous of intelligence available, abundant intelligence available in the future generation, and that becomes cheap, and that becomes a benefit of the human values and judgment that we'll pursue in the future. So what is the final thought? Most people will read Anthropic article just to focus on one idea, AI improving AI, like recursive self-improvement. But I think the deeper lesson is something else. For centuries, humanities had tried to create more intelligence. We built schools, universities, computers, the internet. Now, for the first time, intelligence itself become abundant. Correct? And when something becomes abundant, the question changes. The question is no longer how do you get more intelligence. The question becomes what to do. What do we do with it? Correct? And that may be the most important question of the next decade, because the future may not belong to the people with the most intelligence. It may belong to the people who know how to execute it. It may belong to the people who know how to direct it. Thank you.